Let me have the parties identified.
I was waiting for Gary, but I don't see him on. Deidre Ward with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, present on behalf of the department.
Greg Johnson, attorney for the parents, present, ready, Your Honor.
Jared Miller, attorney ad litem.
Oh, that's him.
Okay, tell me about the children. Who's the worker?
I am.
Okay, tell me about the children. We've got 6 kids. Tell me about them. How are they doing? Where are they placed?
Okay, so Ethan and Tristan are placed with Tammy Garcia, maternal aunt. And then Ella and Miliana are placed with Elva, paternal grandparents, and Ricky Moreno. And then the twins, Micaela and Michael, are in a foster home here in Lubbock with Blake and Kimberly Dewater.
Okay, do we have approved home studies on the relatives?
So Tammy has recently said that she does not want to be placement for the twins anymore. But we do have an approved home study for Elva and yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Tammy,
So,
yes, ma'am.
So for the 4 kids that we do have with relatives, the home studies are approved.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. How are they doing in their placements?
Ethan and Tristan love it with Tammy. They're adjusting very well there. They're also up to date on all their medical and dental. Tammy's been getting that all scheduled. And then Miliana and Ella as well, they're adjusting well with grandma. They love grandma a lot. And then Micaela and Michael, foster home's been very good with them as well.
Okay, do we have any medical concerns with any of the children?
So Michael, the twin, he does have a neurologist appointment today. He has club feet, so he's gonna need braces. He's also gonna have an appointment this month to see if he has because they said that he might have a heart murmur. And just to check up on that and see. But all the other kids are healthy.
Okay. The 2 older kids, did we need to change schools?
No, ma'am. They're still going to the same schools.
Okay. Do we have any academic concerns with them?
No, ma'am.
Good. And then maybe Melania's in pre-K, maybe?
No, ma'am. She just turned 3. But I know Grandma was thinking about putting her in I guess a pre-K for 3-year-olds.
Okay. All right. Do the kids get to see each other? Do they get visits?
Yes, ma'am. Every Thursday from 4:30 to 6:30.
Great. Okay. Do we have a plan to place the twins with a relative? Do we have any home studies or placement options available for them?
Like I said, we were thinking of Tammy, but Tammy just told me yesterday she no longer wants to be placement for the twins. I am going to call Grandma and see if maybe she wants to, but I know it is a little harder for her as well.
It's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Mr. Miller, any concerns with the kids?
Nothing besides what's already been said, Judge.
Mr. Johnston, any concerns on behalf of your clients regarding the children?
No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Are they in the Mercedes Ramirez box? Or is that
I
a
believe
different?
so.
Okay. Okay. Tell me about Ms. Ramirez's plan of service. What are we asking the mom to do in this case?
Sign a release of information, which we have not requested any at this time. Leslie Ramirez will maintain employment. She has provided 1 check stub. Leslie Ramirez maintain housing. Leslie does live with her mother, but they are looking for their own home at this time. Leslie will submit to random drug testing. Leslie Ramirez will complete an OSAR. Leslie will attend and participate in AAA meetings. Leslie will participate in individual counseling. Leslie will complete parenting classes. Leslie will complete a psychological. Leslie Ramirez will participate in the visitations with her children. Leslie Ramirez will comply with each requirement in the original family plan of service and maintain contact with her caseworker.
Okay, what about Mr. Marino?
Sign a release of information, maintain employment, maintain housing, submit to random drug testing, complete an OSAR, attend and participate in NAAA meetings, participate in individual counseling, complete parenting classes, complete a psychological, participate in visitations with his children, and comply with the requirements of the original family plan of service.
All right, Mr. Johnson, any issues with either one of those plans of service?
No issues at all. No objections to anything's on the plan, and they both have gotten a pretty good start on it. I think they both have completed their parenting classes, and they are both active in AANA and are setting up their counseling and the other items that are on the list.
Okay, Mr. Chacon, do you agree?
Yes, ma'am. We are talking about maybe getting an outpatient Grace Manor, because I know Leslie can't do inpatient because of her job. But they are struggling with their withdrawals.
Okay. I will approve both plans of service for the parents. I think Grace Manor would be a really good idea. Did Mr. Marino need to think about that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I would encourage both parents to get involved in that sort of thing right at the beginning of the case and tackle that issue head on.
And I think the fact that they're recognizing it as an issue is a big step for them. So
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they getting plenty of visits with their children?
Yes, ma'am.
Any issues there?
So placement no longer wants to watch the visits. So we're having every Thursdays from 4:30 to 6:30 because they were having an extra visit on Fridays, but placement reached out to me yesterday and said she no longer wanted to watch those.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, if your folks have somebody in their lives that can pass a background check and monitor visits, let Ms. Chacon know so she can do some background checks. I'm fine with somebody else watching visits if we
Thank
can
you,
get
Judge.
that way.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else for this family?
No,
All
Your
right.
Honor.
I'm going to set the first permanency hearing May the 21st at 2.
Gary Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Department also appears through St. Francis Ministries caseworker Uriah Alvarez and Supervisor Amanda Roberts, present and ready to proceed.
Sarah Hudman, attorney for mother Leah K. De Leon, present and ready. My client's in the virtual courtroom.
Terry Morganson for Noe De Leon. He's also present in the virtual courtroom.
Leanne Fouts, attorney and guardian ad litem, present.
Eric Ursuakasa.
Amanda Bauer Casa.
Okay. We also
Judge, I
have,
believe the girls may be also present.
okay. We also have Travis Harris present. Do we have Mr. Harris served?
No, Your Honor, we have not received notice back one way or the other, so I do not show service at this time.
What about
Yes.
Ms. Mom?
I'm sorry, say again, Your Honor.
What about Mom?
Yes, Your Honor. Mom was served on January the 29th of this year.
And Mr. De Leon?
Same day, Your Honor.
Okay. Tell me about the girls. Where are they currently?
They are currently in the same placement that they were placed in from removal with their family.
Okay. Do we have that home study back?
We do have it back. We received it just the day before, and it is pending my supervisor's review.
I was told it was approved. Is it not approved?
That's
The
what
home
I
study
thought
for the-
too.
The home study for the current placement is what is pending review, and the home study for maternal grandfather is what's been received and approved.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How are the girls doing?
Both of the girls are doing pretty well in their placement. They've talked to me about how they like it there, how they like their family. They're doing good in school. They have no medical concerns as of this time. Both girls are enjoying having the ability to play with their cousins that are there. Marley is doing really good in her AP classes. When we last spoke about it, she was having some slight issues with her algebra class, but it was because she was thrown in the middle of a unit. And since they've started the new unit, the teacher is very supportive of making sure that she is able to stay in that AP class. Gabby was having some issues with starting fights at school. She's been processing a lot, but she's been very good at communicating with her placement. And they say that things are doing better, especially in the past week or so.
Okay, are the girls in therapy?
Yes, ma'am. Both of the girls started therapy on the just a few weeks ago, on the last end of January, and both girls have told me that they like their therapists.
Good. What kind of therapy are they in?
They're both with two separate individual therapists. I believe that Gabby's was specifically a play therapist.
Okay, is it trauma focused?
Let me double check, Your Honor.
You know who the therapists are?
Yes, ma'am. I have Crystal Lake for Marley, and then for Gabby, I have a Brianna Pritchard.
Okay, I don't know them, so I'm not sure what kind of therapy they provide. Okay, are they getting to do fun things, extracurriculars?
Marley is interested in basketball. She is on the basketball team for her school. Gabby, as we last spoke, she isn't in any extracurriculars, but she does take a big interest in music. She's always listening to music anytime I call.
Good. Okay, any sort of medical concerns with either one of them?
No, ma'am, not at this time.
Okay, are they on any medications?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Very good, Ms. Fouts. Concerns with the kids?
No, I don't have any concerns now that I know who the therapists are. I could just get notes whenever you get some, because I haven't had a chance to reach out to the therapist yet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if they're not in trauma-focused therapy, I want them in trauma-focused therapy.
Yes, ma'am.
And let's make that change sooner rather than later so that they don't get terribly bonded to a therapist and then have to make the change. Okay, Casa, concerns regarding the girls?
We just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of things. Our communication, Amanda's been doing really well. I'm sorry she can't really speak much. She's got her tonsils or molars out the other by Friday. The communication with placement is doing really well. They're in communication with Amanda weekly. School's going really well. Sports. Marley is a heck of a basketball player, high scorer a lot of times. Therapy is going well. We are in communication with the therapist via email. We've not received any notes just yet, but we're really looking forward to those therapy sessions helping going forward. But outside of that, the girls are doing really well where they're at.
Okay, very good. Let's see, Ms. Cobb, do you have any concerns regarding the girls?
Judge, I have a lot of concerns, and Leah might be in and out. She could be in the bowels of UNC for all I know right now. I have a lot of concerns about sweet little Gabby, what's going on with her that that's getting her into trouble at school. But some other issues that we'll talk about when we talk about parent participation in services.
Okay. Ms. Morgeson, any concerns on behalf of your client regarding the girls?
Not at this time, Judge.
Mr. Harris, can you unmute yourself? While he's trying to do that, Mr. Mitchell or Ms. Ward, y'all update me on the status of finding previous orders as to Mr. Harris.
That's my understanding. We haven't been able to. One of the reasons that we one of the things that we hope today is that Mr. Harris may be able to lead us a little bit farther down that path with any information regarding prior orders.
Judge, I have the prior orders.
Okay,
I called the county. They sent them to me.
what do they
I'll
say?
send them I'll file them with the court.
Okay, what do they say?
They say that he is adjudicated as the father by DNA.
Do
Okay.
we have, one of the orders that we were concerned about that we've been looking for is the one that says he gets limited information. So would that have been in the same county that Sarah's adjudication order happened in, or a different county?
I would have to look at that. I'm honestly not sure right now.
Okay.
Not just that, but whether or not his rights were previously terminated. I think that's the one that we were.
Right. His rights were not terminated. My client believed they had been. She did terminate, or she did end child support many years ago. And then they changed Marley's name, and they were under the belief that that basically that was an adoption. And I've had to explain to my client how that is not the same thing. She was under the very sincere impression that Marley had been adopted by Mr. De Leon, and that Travis no longer had any rights to the child. And so that's, from what I've been able to discover, that's not the situation.
Yes, Mr. Harris, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me now, Judge?
Yes, sir. Let me tell you, first off, that you're entitled to be represented by a lawyer in this case. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Are you working?
I've just been told. Yes, ma'am, I am.
Where do you work, sir?
I work for a company called DCS, Diverse Coding Systems. I'm a process tech. We run a lot of paint lines for high-end parts like Mercedes and BMW. And yes, I'm a process tech there.
Okay, can you tell me how much money you think you make about a month?
Huh?
Right at about $6,000.
$6,000 a month?
A little over $6,000. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I need you to fill out some paperwork regarding a court-appointed attorney. After seeing your paperwork and hearing that statement, I'm wondering whether or not you're actually entitled to a court-appointed attorney because of indigence, but you do need to understand that you are entitled to be represented by a lawyer in this case, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Harris, do you have any concerns regarding the children?
Yes, I'm just very concerned about Marley because, I mean, for the last 8 years or better, I've just been blocked out of her life with no real reason. We started out great, having visitations. I flew down there to Texas on several occasions and flew Marley back out here with me. Just one bad agreement on parenting just caused Leah to just cut me out. She just basically disappeared. No social media, no telephone contact. I didn't know where they lived. So I've been unable to even find Marley or do anything as a father. You know, it's different when you watch guys that pay child support and they don't want any responsibility with the child. But to have a woman cut off child support just to cut the father off is just unusual. I'm just concerned at the fact that I've been not allowed to see my daughter or know anything about her for the past 8 to 9 years. And the first thing I hear is something bad like this. I'm just hurt about it. I'm really hurt about it that she had to go through that without me in her life. I'm just hoping that, we can find a solution to where she's able to get what she needs in life and she's able to get the positive reinforcement that she needs. I have 2 kids. I'm active in their lives as well, and I'm hoping to be active on this. I hate that I've missed so many years and so much time out of her life, and I'm just hoping for a chance to be able to recover from that.
Okay, let's talk about plans of service for the parents. What is on Ms. Cobb's plan of service?
Yes, ma'am. For Leah Kay, we are asking her to attend individual counseling and follow all recommendations from that individual therapist. We are asking her to complete a psychological evaluation, to complete parenting classes or the equivalent for a total of at least 12 hours, to show stability of housing for a period of at least 6 months, and to show stability of legal employment for a period of at least 6 months.
Ms. Hudman, any issues with that plan of service?
No, Your Honor, we developed it together. Mrs. De Leon has chosen to do a private counselor, not a CPS counselor. She has already begun that. She has already had a couple of sessions, I believe, and her next one is scheduled, she told me, either the end of this week or for next week. And so we talked about with the counselor to follow the counselor's recommendations on whether or not she needed a psychological evaluation. And that was the only deviation from what Ms. Alvarez has reported, is that we had requested that the psychological evaluation be contingent on whether or not the counselor needed it. Since my understanding is psych evals or psychological evaluations are to assist the counselor to get the parent what it is they need most. And so if that person needs it, then absolutely. She has already got the information for the parenting classes, and housing and employment are stable, and there's no issues there.
Okay, I approve the plan of service with that change. I'm fine with the therapist recommending whether or not we need a psychological. Okay, what about Mr. De Leon's plan?
Yes, ma'am. For Mr. De Leon, we are asking that he participate in individual counseling and follow the recommendations from that, complete a psychological evaluation, complete parenting classes or the equivalent for a total of at least 12 hours, show stability of housing for a period of at least 6 months, and show stability of employment for a period of at least 6 months.
Ms. Morrison?
Yes, Your Honor, I would object to the entirety of the plan of service as developed for Mr. De Leon. First and foremost, I had shared with the department that I would not be consenting to him doing in-person services. That's when he was not incarcerated. Since then, he is now incarcerated, and none of these services are tailored toward his situation. I would ask that the plan of service be redeveloped with services that are specifically he has the ability to do in jail, and with an emphasis on packets. So basically his rights against self-incrimination or the twisting of alleged self-incrimination can be protected against.
Yeah, Mr. Mitchell, let's work on an order for actions specifically tailored to inmates. Not just for this case, but all my cases. And let's talk about things that we can do. And it depends, I'm sure, on whether or not we're at Lubbock County or in a prison facility somewhere and what's available and all of that. But certainly let's do parenting packets, whatever services are available in the jail. Let's get involved in whatever's available for Mr. De Leon. But I don't see any point in putting a bunch of services on an order for actions that a parent can't participate in because of their situation. Now, if we want to say on the order for actions, once the parent is released, we'll get started in services. That's fine with me.
Okay.
Okay, with that change, I will approve a plan of service that looks more like that. Okay, what about Mr. Harris?
I'm sorry, Judge, you're approving a plan of service that I don't know what the details are. I apologize. I'm lost.
I'm approving a plan of service that includes whatever services are available to Mr. De Leon in jail.
Okay, and when they develop that, if I disagree they're available, I can still object, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, what are we asking Mr. Harris to do?
On the court report, Your Honor, we did ask just that he maintain contact with us. Since then, we are also asking that he provide us with his criminal and CPS history check for his state.
Mr. Harris, where do you live? You're on mute, Mr. Harris.
Judge, I believe it's South Carolina,
Yes.
Greenville. If that's helpful, I don't know.
I don't know the history of what happened. I don't know what concerns the department has with respect to Mr. Harris. It sounds like there is some history. So let me just ask, what are the concerns with Mr. Harris?
Based upon the concerns that Mrs. DeLeon mentioned to us in our adversary, we have concerns of possible domestic violence or the potential for any type of restraining order or history of CPS cases. And so because of that, and because he is out of our state, we are asking that he present us. He says that that isn't the case. So we are asking him to show us his criminal history and CPS history to substantiate one way or the other.
Is there some reason that St. Francis can't get that information directly?
We did attempt, the CPS there in his county would not give that to us. They said that they will give that to him. I did put in a request for an out-of-state background check, but our provider said that they will not do that for this purpose. And so the director of my department told me to instruct Mr. Harris to obtain those himself.
Mr. Mitchell, I'm ordering the department to do the background checks, to get the criminal history for Mr. Harris, to get the CPS history for Mr. Harris, and provide that to the parties.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all?
I think it would be helpful because we have done checks in Greenville and South Carolina to try to find prior orders. I know Ms. Hudman's going to give us the order adjudicating, but if Mr. Harris and Ms. DeLeon can give us locations where they've lived, that will help us send the court's order to each and every one of those counties to get that information. So.
Okay. Mr. Harris, what is your address?
And it's Unit A.
Unit A?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, say that my court is going to mail you some paperwork to fill out regarding a court-appointed attorney. It's just an affidavit telling me about your income and your expenses. I need you to mail that back to me, okay?
All right.
Anything else? Let's talk about contact and visits, particularly for Mr. Harris. I think we should set those up per therapist recommendation. What about visits for the other parents? How are those going?
Since Mr. DeLeon was incarcerated, there have been a suspension of his visits. He isn't currently seeing them, but he was seeing Gabby virtually. He was having those visits once a week, and Gabby did seem to be engaged in those visits, as well as Mr. DeLeon. The visit notes were positive. Mrs. DeLeon has been having the offer of visits Monday through Friday, once a day. She has had those through FaceTime. I know from speaking to placement, Mrs. DeLeon hasn't had those visits in a week. We haven't spoken about that yet.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
She was FaceTiming with Gabby yesterday when I called her.
Okay.
And there was a basketball game that Marley was involved in that she was excited about.
Good. Anything else to report, Ms. Hudman, regarding visits? Any issues?
Yes, Your Honor. I have a lot of things to report. So are we just focused on visits?
Just let me have it.
Okay. Remember you said that. One thing is, yes, Mrs. DeLeon is able to speak with the girls. My understanding is right now, Gabby is the only one who is really willing to do that, engaged in doing that. And Marley is a little bit more hesitant. Gabby, it can be difficult at placement, not because there's anything wrong with that placement. They're lovely people, and we know that they love Gabby and Marley, but there's a lot of kids and a lot of chaos. And so it can be difficult for them to have any one-on-one time or a meaningful conversation because there are 4 cousins in the home. So there's a total of 6 kids in the home. And again, I'm saying absolutely nothing against the cousin. That's just the reality of the situation. My biggest issue is that we have an approved home study for the maternal grandfather who Miss DeLeon indicated in the very beginning was to be is who she wanted placement. She thought the girls could get better focused time with them. They have a close relationship, and still, of course, have visits with the cousin and the Teals and all of them. That home study was requested, expedited. It was suspended in early January, and I was told by Ms. Alvarez and Supervisor Roberts that it was suspended at the request of the maternal grandfather. That is either completely untrue or a distortion of the facts.
And Judge, at this time, just on this issue, Sarah, we're going to need to have a hearing on maternal grandfather's home study. So I think these issues
it's already been approved. So we have an approved home study, and so they need to be moved. Now, Ms. Roberts,
and denied for placement. Denied for placement.
It was denied for placement because Ms. Roberts interjected herself and told placement that it would be better for them to stay where they are at. And
needs to have
I reached out to them because they were so involved in therapy. We learned today they've only been in therapy a couple of weeks. And so Mr. Cobb was led astray in the nicest terms, and it was suggested to him that the girls stay where they are and that he remove himself from consideration. And that is simply untenable. It is not within St. Francis's mission to reunite these families. It's not within the family code. It's not within any of it. I'm happy to have the
Judge. I'll set up a replacement hearing February the 22nd. I'm sorry, February 26th at 1:30.
Thank you.
And Judge, another thing is that we need family therapy set up between Marley and her mother.
Okay, I'm assuming, I don't know where that feedback is coming from. I'm assuming that Marley is in therapy.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Very recently, yes.
When Marley's therapist is recommending family therapy start, let's start family therapy.
Okay, Judge, I would ask that you direct St. Francis and the department to give all parties the names and contact information of the therapist before the end of today, so that they can't run an in run around us.
Certainly. Let's get the names of the therapists, all the parties. Okay, Ms. Morganson, anything on behalf of your client?
The only thing that I would ask, Judge, is I believe that he can still have contact with Gabby via telephone and via correspondence. And I would request that his visitation be changed to telephone access, supervised by whatever placement Gabby is in, and that we be provided the specific information, because, you know, he can email from the jail, and are they going to allow him to email Gabby directly, or does he need to do that through the caseworker? And that be made clear before they say that he's abandoned this child to the department.
I'm fine with whatever email he wants to send, but let's send it through the caseworker.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Any appropriate communication, let's forward on to the child. Okay.
And I will be happy to share the orders that did not take me any time to get, but I also expect the department and St. Francis to respond in kind.
Sarah, thank you. If you could send that to me, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to set this for an initial permanency hearing May the 21st at 2. We are set for a placement hearing February 26th at 1:30. All right, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Thank y'all. We'll be
Thank you,
adjourned.
Judge.
Noe, I'm sorry, I had a hearing with this student, but I'll get out to see you on Friday, okay?
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jerry Mitchell, Your Honor, with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. The department appears also by and through St. Francis Ministries, caseworker Christy Saunier, and Supervisor Karan Slay, present and ready to proceed.
Terry Morgeson for the mother, Mercedes Cifuentes, who is also present in the virtual courtroom. We're present ready.
Jared Miller, attorney ad litem.
What is the status of service on the parents?
Sorry, Judge, we're rearranging here.
Your Honor, we have personal service on the mother on 12/27 and personal service on the father as well. Had a little bit difficulty reading the file report, but I think it is on the 25th.
Would that be Mr. Ramirez or Mr. Cifuentes?
I apologize, Your Honor. I looked down. We do not, let me back up. Mr. Ramirez, we have service by publication on 12/15, and we do not have service I show yet back on Mr. Cifuentes. And on the mother, I would change that to 1/12/24.
Okay, tell me about these kiddos. Where are they placed?
Yes, Your Honor, I do want to mention Mr. Cifuentes. He was just on, but it looks like it kicked him off. He's trying to participate. Oh, there he is. He's on, Mr. Ruben Cifuentes.
Yes, I see him.
And then both of the children, they are now placed in Brownfield, Texas so it's technically Christopher's paternal aunt, and it would be a fictive kin to Avon, as we don't have paternity established yet. And then both children are doing well. Since removal, Your Honor, they came into care with runny noses and itchy throats. They've been to the doctor several times and have had different medications prescribed. They have recently gone back to the doctor, and she was going to send me the medications they're on now just to try to help and alleviate what this is. They don't have a diagnosis right now of flu or COVID. It's just maybe allergies, but they are being seen by the doctor to figure it out. And then both recently had their dental exams. It was on February the 3rd, and then Christopher had 3 cavities, so he will be going back in March to have those filled.
Okay, do we have an approved home study on the aunt?
Yes, Your Honor, we were able to get the kinship safety evaluation done, and both the home study and KSC were approved and have been e-filed. And then, Your Honor, you had ordered a home study on Miss Maria Moreno, the maternal grandmother. But when I went to visit them in January, she reported that she was possibly moving residences, and she wouldn't know until the end of January or early February. She did notify me today that she is moving into a different house and should be moved in by this weekend. She provided me with that address. And so once she tells me that they are completely moved in, we will get that home study going on the grandmother.
Great. Okay, Mr. Miller, any concerns with the children? Mr.
Sorry.
Miller,
No, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Morgeson, any concerns on behalf of Ms. Fuentes?
She was a little bit concerned about possibly getting some respite care for the placement. It's just a lot with 2 kids under 3, I guess. And so we had wanted to look to see if potentially her mother could help out with respite, or maybe we can give some names to the department just of another caregiver to help out the placement.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. It sounds like the housing is the issue with the grandmother. So if her background checks are good, I don't see any problem with her being a sitter.
And
Okay.
we did get the daycare approved. It is starting this week already, and so that will help the caregiver. It's just, when you first get kiddos, you've got all these appointments to get to, and she does have a little kid at home herself, and so that did finally get approved.
Great. That will be a big help, I'm sure. Okay. Miss Ramirez, can you unmute?
Hello?
Hi. Do you have Mr. Ramirez with you?
No, I don't.
That's
Okay.
her mom. That's
Okay.
the
Oh,
grandmother.
Oh, yes, that's my mom. I'm sorry. She couldn't get on her phone. She couldn't get it, so I came over here with her.
That's no problem. I'm just trying to figure out who all of my parties we have here. Mr. Cifuentes, are you there? Okay. All right, anything else regarding the children?
Your Honor, we still have the speech evaluation for Christopher, and so we are going to get him evaluated in February. I don't have the name of the provider just yet, but we do want to definitely follow up with that because the pediatrician has also noted that he has a speech delay, and so we will jump on getting that evaluated and hopefully get him some services soon.
Good.
And then, sorry, the only other thing we have with Christopher is we are following up with the doctor that did the kidney surgery. We just want to make sure there's not any follow-ups that we're going to miss or anything. He had surgery with Dr. Timberlake because he was born with 4 kidneys, and so they removed 2 of those. And again, we just want to make sure that nothing gets missed.
You never have to apologize for giving me more information about the children or giving me a complete set of information about the children. This is good. Okay, 4 kidneys, down to 2 now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, tell me about the parents' plan of service. Let's start with Miss Ramirez. Is your last name Cifuentes or Ramirez?
Legally, it's Cifuentes.
Yeah, they're still married. I'm going to work on that, Judge.
All right, Ms. Hines, tell me about Ms. Cifuentes' plan of service.
Yes, Your Honor. So she will maintain contact with the St. Francis worker, which she has been doing that. She will participate in all services as outlined in the family plan of service, including visiting her on a monthly basis at her residence. She is compliant with that. She will maintain safe and stable housing throughout the life of the case. She is residing with her mother, but again, her mother's getting a new home, and so Mercedes is going to take over the home that was the mother's house. It's basically getting passed on to her. She will maintain a source of legal income. She was working at KFC, but she's pretty close to getting ready to deliver that baby, and so she has stopped working for that. But she does plan to go back to work after she gives birth and a little bit of time passes. She will refrain from criminal activity during the life of the case, which she is compliant. She agrees to attend parenting classes through the Parenting Cottage. She agrees to submit to and complete a psychological evaluation with Stonebridge. She will participate in individual counseling with Mr. Gatlin. She was doing that prior to removal, and she will continue seeing Mr. Gatlin. She will maintain a drug-free lifestyle and submit to random drug testing. On January 23rd, she was a no-show for the hair follicle, and then she reported to me that she had lost her phone and did not receive the message. And so the following week on 1/29, I had her go again, but she did not attend that appointment either. She agrees to submit to a drug and alcohol assessment through OSAR. She, if recommended, she will complete a substance abuse treatment program. She will, if she tests positive on any drugs, she will attend AANA at least twice weekly and provide sign-in sheets to the worker. She agrees to address family violence through Women Protective Services. And she will participate in any further assessments needed. And then she will attend all her parent-child visits. Currently, the schedule is she gets 2 hours as supervised by St. Francis, and that's occurring every Thursday in Brownfield. And then she has an additional 1-hour visit with Miss Ramirez that's occurring every Monday in Brownfield. She has participated in those visits. She became, I don't want to say ill, she was hurting pretty badly, so she canceled last week's visit so that she could go to the doctor. And then she will follow any recommendations made by service providers.
Ms. Morrison?
Yes, Your Honor. I do have some just concerns about the way that the plan of service is written, and some of the kind of, I don't know, just the way that it's written. So first of all, there is no documentation regarding family violence. There was an incident between her and Christopher. Charges were dropped on that, so I don't see why we are requiring her to do some sort of domestic violence class. The other issue that I have is it's written in here about 45 different ways, it seems, but the bottom line is they want my client to say that she can do inpatient treatment. She's literally just about to have a baby. I cannot have her do any sort of inpatient treatment while she's pregnant, shortly after she's giving birth. So her following through with recommendations for inpatient treatment, whether it be on the OSAR or just their blanket statement, follow through with recommendation of the service providers or CPS. And I'm trying to find exactly where it is in this plan of service, Judge, but it's honestly in there about 3 different ways. The other kind of concern that I had is it makes a reference that she will be employed through the entirety of the case. She's about to give birth. There's going to be a large portion of the case where she's not going to be able to work due to just recovering from the pregnancy. So I was objecting to the way that that particular item was worded. The other thing, Judge, is she lost her Medicaid when the children came into care. We've been unable to get that straight. I've tried to talk to Mary Baker about it. She wants some PID number. I have no idea what that number is or how we can do that. So that has been honestly Mercedes' focus since the kids came into care. So until we get that fixed, that's going to be a big issue for her. The other requirement that was in the plan of service that I objected to, it's in the section regarding peer support groups. It requires her to do some sort of like parenting support group on Thursdays. And I was just going to object to that just because it appears that that is just another service in Lubbock when my client lives in Brownfield and will have difficulty traveling there. The last thing I objected to is a reference in the plan of service regarding my client being depressed and having to follow through with her doctor about depression. My client is not depressed. And so I don't agree that she's going to follow through with treatment for her depression.
Okay, let's do an OSAR and see what the OSAR recommends as far as drug treatment, and then go from there. If it's inpatient, we'll figure out a plan when she is in a position after the birth of the baby to get her into inpatient, if that's what's recommended. The Medicaid issue, Ms. Morganson, usually we have Sasha Smith present here from Superior Health. I bet she can help with that. She's not here today. She probably has some court somewhere else, but.
Okay, well, I can get a hold of Sasha if she thinks that she can help. Okay.
Yeah, she's our Superior Health liaison.
And Your Honor, I can provide that PID. Terry, I will email that to you. That way you can have it if that's all they're needing as well.
Okay, that's what she said on the email that I thought. So, okay.
The parenting support group in Lubbock, let's take that off unless there's like a virtual way for her to attend. Okay. Other than that, I will approve the mom's plan of service. What about Mr. Cifuentes' plan?
Hey, Mr. Cifuentes, he will submit to paternity testing. He actually did complete that paternity test on February 1st. He will maintain contact with the St. Francis worker, which he has been doing that. He will participate in all services outlined in the family plan of service. And then if he's established as the father to one or both children, he'll allow monthly home visits. He will maintain safe and stable housing throughout the life of the case. He will maintain a source of legal income. He is actually working in La Mesa. He agrees to participate in safety and risk assessments to determine the need for any other services. And he will participate in, he agrees to attend parent-child visits if paternity is established and he is the father to one or both children.
Okay, I'm going to approve that plan of service for now. Mr. Cifuentes, if you're here and you can hear me, Mr. Morrow is your attorney, and Mr. Morrow is involved in a jury trial right now and couldn't be here. But if he has an issue with your plan, we can take that up at the next hearing.
Can I ask a question? Was the paternity testing done on both kids?
Yes.
Don't we have an AOP, and didn't you reference that in your paperwork?
We did have an AOP. When it came in, Ms. Chavez let us know that she had found that, but they went ahead and did the testing on both.
Okay. Ms. Morrison, let me know if we need to do something different there.
It's just a waste of resources, Your Honor.
Agreed. Okay, what about Mr. Ramirez's plan of service?
Mr. Ramirez will, when ordered, he will submit to paternity testing to establish paternity. The AOP was found and signed on August 25th of 2020, specifically to Chris. He will maintain contact with St. Francis. His whereabouts currently are unknown. I've asked Ms. Cifuentes and I've asked the placement if they have any contact information, but there was none that was provided other than the address that he had previously. He'll participate in services outlined in the family plan of service. He will maintain safe and stable housing throughout the life of the case. He will maintain a source of legal income throughout the case. He will refrain from criminal activity. He was arrested December 5th, 2023, and will need to follow up with those criminal charges. He agrees to attend parenting classes through the Fatherhood Fire program. He will participate and complete a psychological evaluation. He will participate in individual counseling with Mr. Gatlin. He will maintain a drug-free lifestyle and submit to random drug testing. He will complete the drug and alcohol assessment, and he will complete a substance abuse treatment program if that is a recommendation. And then if he tests positive on any drug screens, he will attend AANA twice weekly. And then he will complete a batter's intervention program. And he agrees to participate in any other assessments, and he will attend parent-child visits with one or both of the children, depending on what paternity is established.
Okay, I will approve that plan unless Mr. Morrow takes a look at it and files an objection, and we can talk about it next time. Okay, I'm going to set this for a permanency hearing May the 21st at 2. Anything else?
Just, Your Honor, I do have an objection to my client being forced to do any sort of domestic violence, and I just want to be sure if that was ordered. I just would like that clarified. Mr. Ramirez has never been convicted. There's been no finding.
Your Honor, if I may, when I spoke to Mercedes, that was one of the things she talked about was her history and past relationships. And she stated that every relationship she has been in, she has.
Okay, from now on, I object to her saying what my client said during this hearing. We didn't participate in the development of the family plan of service because it was done before the adversary hearing. And it is not appropriate for a caseworker to say on the record in front of the judge what my client said.
Okay, let's get a recommendation from the therapist after an evaluation of the mom as to whether or not. As to whether or not. What am I going to talk about? Mr. Cifuentes, hang on just a second. Okay, let's get a recommendation from the mom's therapist about whether or not she feels like domestic violence treatment services, therapy, whatever is needed for the mom. And I'll follow the therapist's recommendation.
Yes, from now on, in this case, the caseworker is no longer allowed to speak to my client unless I'm present. As a matter of fact, let's just do that for all my cases.
All right, Mr. Cifuentes, can you unmute yourself? All right. First permanency hearing, May 21st at 2. Anything else? Okay, we'll be adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
What the fuck?
Your Honor,
what the fuck?
Your Honor,
what the fuck?
Your Honor, I am going to stay on this board's computer. I'm going to go across the hall and get my documents for the next case that's coming up, if you'll give me just one moment.
Okay. Mr. Cifuentes, you just need to call your attorney, Mr. Morrow, and talk about your service plan. And
look, ma'am, I've been trying to sit here and talk like these kids ain't mine. I was incarcerated for 4 years, man. I haven't had no contact besides the phone for maybe even if it was 30 minutes about my daughter. You know what I mean? I got a whole nother family. Like, I don't got time. I don't see why this man don't sit here, man, and man up and say, hey, these are my kids. You know what I'm saying? Because I know damn well, man, you know what I mean? Excuse my language, but if these were my kids, I would be handling my business. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to work. I got a son myself with another woman, and this right here, man, is causing problems with my relationship now. This woman thinks I'm over here sleeping with my mother and my daughter. You know what I'm saying? When the man can sit here, man, and be a man regardless of what he did, if he didn't do it or did do it, and say, yeah, I did do that, or I didn't do that. You know what I mean? And say these are my kids regardless. What kind of father is that, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I want to go do my part.
I understand. Just you might visit with Mr. Morrow.
I don't understand. I'm fucking middle.
Okay, go visit with
I didn't get out to April 4th, April 20th, 2022. How any of these are my kids?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Cifuentes. All right. Free to go.
Can you tell my lawyer to come? He ain't even doing what a lawyer's supposed to do.
Okay, you're free to go. Thank you, sir. All right, we'll be adjourned. We'll wait on Mr. Mitchell to come back for the next one.
Yes, Your Honor. Jerry Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. The department also appears by and through the caseworker, Megan Millen, and Supervisor Alejandra Mosqueda. Present and ready to proceed.
Jana Clift Williams, I'm the attorney ad litem for the child, Jane.
Okay, I think we have both parents present. I'm not sure about Mr. Johnston. He's been in and out. Okay, tell me about the parents' progress and services this last month.
Things have been going great. Dominic's maintained negative drug tests. I believe that they have wrapped up with their TFF. I'll let James talk about that in a minute. But there's no concerns on my end. Everything's good with Jane. She's maintaining her appointments, and the family has completed services on my end.
Okay, what about our family-centered treatment folks?
Yes, this is James Villanueva, TFF, and they have done excellent. They've done very well. They are completing services. We are wrapping that up as well, but they're good on my end.
Okay, very good. Ms. Cliff Williams, do you have any concerns regarding Jane?
No, Your Honor, she's doing very well in her placement. I was wondering if the parents were, I just had one question, and that is, have the parents finished their TFF program?
We are in the last and final part of TFF, and we can even finish that up this afternoon.
Okay, is the department ready for a dismissal?
On our end for TFF, yes.
And working with the dismissal as well.
All right, Ms. Cliff Williams, are you in agreement with the dismissal?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
All right, we got smiles on the parents' faces. That's good. So I'm going to dismiss this case. Good job. Good luck to you folks. We'll be adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I didn't realize how much that was stressful. Let me have the parties identified.
Jerry Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. The department appears also with caseworker Samantha Ochoa and Supervisor Sarah Bustamante, present and ready to proceed.
Jared Miller, attorney for the mother, Mrs. Lannis.
Katie Mason, attorney and guardian ad litem for the children, present and ready.
Okay, and Mr. Morrow represents Mr. Giannis in this case, and Mr. Morrow is not available this afternoon. Tell me how Ms. Giannis is doing in services.
Ms. Giannis has scheduled her initial counseling session with Choices Counseling for tomorrow, February 7th. She has enrolled in an online parenting course that meets 3 times a week from 6:30 to 8:30. That's virtual. She has not started women's group. She's had some barriers with not having any childcare for the 2 children at home while her husband is out of the home. Most of her family support is living in San Antonio, so she hasn't started that just yet. I have been to the home. She's allowed me entrance, and the home is very appropriate, very clean. The children have been seen. As far as Mr. Yanez, he is receiving services through the VA. I was able to confirm that he completed a psychosocial December 23rd and participated in an IPV program that they have called Strength at Home. He's attended twice on January 24th and January 30th. He's also enrolled in a substance use group. He completed an initial on December 13th and participated additionally on December 18th. His case manager was unable to find any upcoming individual sessions, but the IPV group does meet weekly. He has been able, the Intimate Partner Violence Group.
Okay.
He has been able to discuss some of the coping skills that he's been given through that group, such as physical exercise, and then walking away from the situation to help that chemical imbalance. He has been following that EPO, but recently that EPO, the emergency protection order, has expired. As of right now, he's not started a parenting group. And then again, he did agree to stay outside the home until today's hearing to see if a safety plan would be court ordered.
Does the department want a safety plan?
That is what we're requesting today. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
Yes, Judge. I know my client has been doing all she can so far. Her issue is that it's just her with the kids. She has no family support. So I think she's doing well on her services and all that for what she's got. As far as on a safety plan, the protective order did go out over the weekend. They've gone ahead and stayed apart, even though that's no longer in place. We would object to anything going forward. She needs him back in the home to help with the kids. He's working all his services through the VA. They've complied with everything so far. And so for them to get back together and to work through these things, I don't see how it helps for them to not be able to see each other any longer. She doesn't want that in place. I don't want to speak for Mr. Morrow or his client, but I know she wants him back in the home.
Ms. Mason, any concerns with the children?
No, Your Honor, I was able to visit them in the home last week and they're doing well. The home's appropriate. They seem to be well cared for and happy.
Okay. Can the department provide some daycare help?
We can provide daycare help during the day. If the classes are in the evening, I know Dad has some family in town, and maybe we can work it out where Dad could watch the kids while Mom's in class. I don't know that there's a daytime women's group that she could attend.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Let's have 1 month of therapy for each parent, and then get a recommendation from each therapist and determine whether or not the therapists are comfortable with the parents moving back in.
Okay.
And certainly if we have 2 therapy sessions and the therapists are thinking that the dad moving back in the home is okay, then let's go ahead and do it. We don't have to wait until next month.
Okay.
But if the therapists are thinking that they need to do a little therapy with the parents still apart, I want to follow whatever the therapist is recommending. Okay. And I would like the department to provide as much help as far as daycare that.
Excuse me, Judge. My car doesn't work, and I've expressed that to everybody, and my husband hasn't come back to fix my car, so I can't even get to therapy. I had agreed if I could do everything virtually, and then they tell me that the classes that I'm supposed to do cannot be done virtually, so I don't know how I'm supposed to do them or how I'm supposed to make it to therapy to get my husband back in the home or to even have him come around.
I think Mr. Gatlin provides a virtual therapy. Let's try him.
Okay.
He also has a really good plan as far as domestic violence. He's really good in that area, so I think he'd be great if he has some availability. Okay, I'm going to set another review hearing March the 5th at 2. Yes, Mr. Giannis, your attorney is involved in a jury trial right now, so, but do you have anything to add on your behalf?
Just that I don't agree with having a safety plan if it's not needed, and if the department thinks that it'd be okay for me to watch my kids, for her to go to therapy, why would I not be allowed in my kid's house, my house where my kids live with? I mean, I can't go to my own house right now, so just that I don't want that is all. And I haven't been able to get a hold of my lawyer. I know he's busy, but yeah. So
I actually kind of had the same question after they said that they're okay with him coming over. Clearly there would be overlap with them together there for them to come over. So I don't see why, if it's okay for him to come over and to be with the kids and to see her there while they're still concerned about him being in the home.
I don't disagree with the concern about the parents being together around the children. If there is a basis for a judge to order a protective order in a case, we've got an issue that needs to be addressed. And just because the protective order is not in place anymore doesn't necessarily mean that the issue has been addressed. Okay? Anything else? March the 5th at 2. It'll be adjourned. Identify.
Gary Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. The department also appears by and through St. Francis Ministries caseworker. Jessica Castro, and Supervisor Alejandro Mosqueda, present and ready to proceed.
Linda Ebling, Attorney Lottom for the child.
Okay, and Mr. Johnston couldn't be here this afternoon, but he did send me an appearance by email regarding Mr. Privet. Tell me about Mr. Privet's progress. I know this is his first compliance review hearing. Tell me about his progress so far.
Well, my witnesses appear to have gone off the screen.
Ms. Evelyn, do you have any concerns regarding Astrid?
I did have a concern that she was not in therapy, but my understanding, I got an update earlier today that they are changing where she is going to go into therapy. It will be with a Texas Tech group. So that was my main thing. I was concerned that the father was not making much progress, but it sounds like he's getting engaged as well. So I don't have any additional concerns at this time.
Okay, do we have anybody from the department here on the Privet case?
Alejandro's box is still there.
Yeah, I see it.
Video went away. Whoops. Maybe they're signing. She's connecting.
I'm so sorry. We're having issues
I understand issues.
Ms. Mosqueda, tell me about Mr. Privet's progress and services this month.
Sure. So he is engaged with Padre. He's met with them twice. We are talking about some of the things that he is learning in Padre as far as with his marijuana use and how to parent and the effects that it has of him being under the influence. He's also started services with Richard Gatlin. They're going to be meeting on Mondays. And then Astrid is on a waiting list to see Chris Straffus. So in the meantime, we are working on setting up cater for her at the school. Dad has also selected to do in-home parenting with Methodist Children's Home. That will start on the 12th.
Okay, would the department agree that Mr. Privet got a slow start, or?
I think that he may have gotten a slow start, but he's been pretty quick to get engaged once we've had conversations about expectations and what needs to be done. He was pretty quick once I informed him who he needed to contact and what this was going to look like.
Okay, has he done a drug test?
He did do a drug test on the 26th. It was positive for marijuana. However, the levels were a lot lower than they were during the investigation.
Okay. All right. And is there anybody in the home with Mr. Privet that needs to be working services also, or is it just him?
He does have his girlfriend Paige that is a caretaker to Astrid. I've talked to her quite a bit. It does sound like she's willing to do the parenting along with Bristol since she's in the home. She's willing to drug test. I know investigations did send her in for one drug test. I have not sent her in since. She does say that she's not using because she does not want to hinder the case. He also lives with his parents. They're very open to suggestions. They're open to learning different parenting strategies to help support Astrid. His mom did test positive as well for marijuana. She's also not using at this moment.
Okay. Does the department have any concerns with Astrid?
There are some behavioral concerns. I think it stems from her childhood and things that she went through prior to being placed with Bristol. I think those are some things that can be worked through with some extensive therapy.
Okay, and that was one of Miss Evelyn's concerns, getting her engaged in therapy. And you said we're on a wait list?
We're on a wait list with Chris Straffus, but we're trying to see if Cater can get her in sooner.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I just would ask if the new therapy that they're looking at is trauma informed, because I think she definitely needs that.
Agreed.
We will find out. I know Chris is, but of course there's that wait list, and if not, then we'll look at someone else.
Okay. Right, I'm going to set another review hearing March the 5th at 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry Mitchell with the Lubbock County District Attorney's Office, appearing on behalf of the Texas Department of Protective and Family Services, Department appearing by and through Supervisor Melissa Speed, present and ready to proceed.
Katie Mason, attorney for respondent mother Elizabeth McNeil. She's also present in the virtual courtroom.
Jared Miller, attorney ad litem for the children.
Okay, tell me how Ms. McNeil is doing in services this month.
This month, Elizabeth has attended 3 counseling sessions. She, according to Richard, she is only doing the bare minimum in counseling. She really doesn't own up to anything in counseling. She wants to blame others for everything that is going on for her. Richard does feel that that co-parenting classes or classes with Jason would be in both their best interest, only because he also doesn't know how to define the relationship because of the way that they talk. Elizabeth has also been attending parenting classes. She's got a new parent education coordinator. Her name is Rebecca, but Rebecca has not started with her just yet. So that is being put on hold. Elizabeth is not working at this time. She did have a job at a healthcare company, and she had it for about 2 days, and she did quit that job. According to Elizabeth, she stated that the job was not a fit for her. So she has been actually looking for another job. I did recommend, now this is probably like the 3rd time I have been recommending to Elizabeth about going to the Workforce Solutions to seek out employment, but she hasn't gone that route just yet. Elizabeth hasn't made too many sessions with HST Duran, who is trying to help her with budgeting and to making sure that Elizabeth can stay on budget as far as, her income. And so she really does need to get with Monica on that. The kids are in daycare, which they seem to be doing good, but there continues to be concerns with daycare teachers as well as school teachers, whereas the children are going to school with poor hygiene. They come to school with same socks on. They come to school with same clothes on. They come to school very dirty, sometimes with an odor. I've talked to Elizabeth. I actually was able to talk to Elizabeth yesterday because it was advised to me to not talk to her unless her attorney was around. So I was finally able to talk to her yesterday when I saw her here. Elizabeth says that most of the time, she talked about how the clothes is all jumbled together in one tub. And so I'd even recommended that we're going to get her a couple of tubs so then she can have pants in one tub and shirts in one, socks in another and stuff. So that is what's going on with Elizabeth.
Ms. Mason?
Your Honor, first and foremost, I wouldn't agree with Ms. Hernandez's concern expressed to her through Richard Gatlin. I'm looking at a report from him where he specifically says that Elizabeth's participation in counseling, one of the strengths is her willingness to discuss the concerns that obviously brought CPS into her life. I spoke to Mr. Gatlin last week. He said it's pretty common when parents are when they first become engaged in counseling to be defensive. He said the more he works with her, he expects for that to go down and then be able to continue to address the issues. As far as the relationship, I'm not sure what the department's concern is, because Elizabeth has stated multiple times that she does not want to be in a relationship with Jason. And so these people are going to continue to have to co-parent together. And so she's willing to do co-parenting with Mr. Gatlin if that's recommended. As far as her job goes, Elizabeth has had multiple interviews at this point. She has reached out to Snelling. She's going to, I think later this week, to get in contact with Workforce Solutions. So she is trying. She's had multiple interviews at this point. She's just waiting to get a call back and get that job. She has gone above and beyond. She's applied for SSI for a different daughter of hers. She's already applied for Medicaid, I believe, or food stamps. And then she was denied, and the department said that's normal. And then once that's denied, to get in contact with Mary Baker. So that's what we're kind of waiting on right now. So she's trying to bridge the gap until she is able to get a job. And then as far as the clothing goes, I think I've brought it up multiple times. We've asked for some help in getting some clothing for the children. As most parents know, kids are constantly growing and they're outgrowing the clothes that they had at one point in time. Elizabeth has gone and bought new clothes. And so when I've asked if there's any additional resources, it wasn't until yesterday that Ms. Hernandez actually provided a packet to Elizabeth showing additional resources for her to get those clothing. So another thing that Mr. Gatlin has said is that Elizabeth has attended counseling regularly. So I think she is on track. She's doing her best. And that's all I have to add at this point.
Okay, what about Mr. Lloyd?
Mr. Jason Lloyd, he is attending counseling, but most of the time he does have to attend counseling on phone, only because of the fact that he does not have transportation. At this time, he is living at the Salvation Army because he does not have any stable housing. One of the things about Mr. Lloyd is he is on tenant trackers, so staying at the Salvation Army, they're going to also help him clean up his records, so then he can possibly maybe get into his own apartment soon. He has been working at United for over 3 months now, and he has been doing very, very well. He is trying to keep his appointments here with visitations between him and his children here at the office, other than there's sometimes that he's either sick or Elizabeth is not able to come, but Jason hasn't had any concerns on those parts. But that's everything that's going on with him.
Okay, do we have Mr. Lloyd present? I don't think so. Okay, Mr.
Yes,
Miller.
Your Honor. I think he's under Tony Kaiser.
Okay. Mr. Lloyd, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. I'm borrowing my mother's phone. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Do you have anything to add as far as what you're working on in services?
Right now, I'm just attending parenting classes and such, and trying to make sure I keep good notes, and so that I can actually learn the material and such, as well as trying to get the most out of therapy and such, so I can progress in the direction that I need to.
All right, very good. Okay, I know it sounds like the department has some concerns with finances and everything, but it sounds like the family's working on it. So I'm going to set another review hearing March the 5th at 2. All right, Mr. Miller, any concerns or anything?
First, did you say March the 5th?
Yes.
No, it seems like the concerns are just kind of the same that they've been throughout. To me, it doesn't. No major issues, though. No major issues on that.
Okay. See everybody back March the 5th at 2. Thank y'all.